property has to be paid off. 2, property has to be divided. Signed over her property to Kody and Robyn.
Lot 1 is the lot that I kind of always figured would sort of be the family lot. And Christine left, she's gone, so I'll own lot number 3, which was going to be her lot. Because of things that have gone on in the past with the family, I'm not going to give the family lot.
Okay, so let's get this straight. Mary was absolutely right about the land division. And I need to start by saying, I'm not exactly Mary's biggest fan. I've always thought she was a bit, I don't know, selfish. Like, remember the whole LV house thing? And the B&B? Yeah, not exactly warm and fuzzy in my book. But when the land division discussion came up, oh boy, I was ready to throw something at the screen. Mary is 100% right. She should definitely get 4 acres. And no, it's not some petty one kid versus many kids thing. We're way beyond that now. Mary is a major breadwinner for this family, so let's just call it like it is. I was absolutely furious when her so-called advocate said nothing, but Janelle, who can barely stand Mary, chimes in saying it's not fair. Really? That's rich coming from her. I hope Mary watched that episode and realized just how toxic her friendship with Robyn really is. Spoiler alert, it's not a friendship, it's a complete farce. Now, here's my 2 cents. Mary should absolutely get the 4-acre lot that Robyn currently has. Janelle should get her 4 acres, and Robyn and Kody can share the 3 2-acre lots, giving them a whole 6 acres together. Oh, and let's not forget they already own their McMansion and the land next to it. Robyn definitely has assets, though, you know, she's never actually contributed anything. At all, but sure, let's all pretend she's pulling her weight. And don't even get me started on the B&B. I think Mary was way ahead of the game there. She got that house/business. It's actually successful, and Kody can't touch a dime of the money she's making from it or her other ventures. And honestly, I'm living for that moment. So much satisfaction. I really hope Mary watches this and realizes how Kody has been stringing her along. He flat out confirms it in that conversation. Last season, he was all about teaming up with her to take down Christine, but now? Oh, now he's asking for her help paying off the land. How convenient. The best part? He wants to pretend none of this ever happened. Let's make it about where we are, not what I've said. Yeah, sure, Kody. That's totally not manipulative and twisted at all. We've got so much to dive into today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Elena here, and welcome back to my channel Reality Nexus X. So here's the update on Coyote Pass ownership. Now with the glorious 2025 tax assessment. I posted this chart in 2023, and of course, someone had to be upset because the numbers were out of date. So I went ahead and updated the chart with the latest values straight from the county website. I also updated a couple of other charts I'd made, compiling the basic numbers from real estate transactions in both Las Vegas and Flagstaff. Thought it might be useful as a reference for tonight's episode. Now, if Coyote Pass had been split equally 5 ways before Christine left, each person would have gotten about $277,910. But remember, Christine walked away with what? $180,000? At the time, Janelle thought that sounded fair, and she said something like, the land and the house are about the same value. Was she talking about that tiny sliver of land that was technically under Christine's name? Or was she referring to 1/5 of the total land value? Seems like Christine might have gotten shortchanged here. But it's tricky to determine the value when Christine left for a couple of reasons. First off, these numbers are based on county tax appraisals, which I'm not sure match what anyone would actually pay for the land. Second, the appraisals here are from 2025. Back in 2023, the total value was around $880,000, and by then, Christine had already been gone for a while. Frankly, it seems like she was more interested in making a clean break than squeezing every last penny out of the property. And let's not forget Robyn, who didn't bring a dime into the relationship, only debt. So none of the family money used to buy those Vegas houses came from her. She's just holding onto that marriage certificate like it's a lifeline, riding it out like a cowboy at a rodeo. Meanwhile, Kody and Robyn can use the land as collateral for a whopping $975,000. Mary and Janelle? Well, they're sitting pretty with a lot less. Robyn finally said something I can actually believe. When she claimed she tried to get Kody to fix things with Janelle after their big fight, I'm sure she did. But let's be real, it was probably for selfish reasons. We all found out a couple of weeks ago that Kody had to give Robyn an ultra-serious, pinky swear promise that he'd never stick around in a marriage he didn't love anymore. Which, newsflash, means he already told her before their wedding that he wasn't exactly head over heels for the original 3 wives. Robyn was clearly terrified of becoming the next one he'd outgrow, so she made him swear that if he didn't love her, he'd leave her rather than stay in a loveless marriage. Which, obviously, is a huge red flag about how much confidence she has in Kody's ability to maintain long-term love. Now, I think she's definitely tried to get Kody to make peace with Janelle, but not because she cares about the actual peace. With Christine and Mary already out of the picture, Robyn knows she's the last one standing that Kody could fall out of love with next. She knows his whole "I never really loved the OG3 story" is a crock, and she's smart enough to realize he's just rewriting history. Right now, Kody is proving that when he's done with someone, even his own kids, he'll throw them away without hesitation. I bet Robyn's starting to see the writing on the wall, and I just love how terrified she must be that she could be next. And then there's Kody. I can't wait to watch him and Robyn make even more terrible financial decisions that will eventually drive them straight into the poverty they both dread so much. They're both only concerned about the income, not the relationships. Losing wives? Whatever. But losing their money? That's the real crisis. I bet Robyn caught the part where Janelle said to Kody, "You're doing the same thing to me that you did to Mary and Christine. You're accusing me of the same things you accused them of." There's clearly a pattern, but Robyn's either too oblivious or too in denial to admit it. Honestly, there's a lot to dislike about Robyn, but I do think she's starting to wake up to the fact that she's just in a different stage of the abuse cycle. At first, she probably thought it was just Mary he was treating badly. Then she rationalized it away with Christine. But once Janelle was in the firing line, it might have finally clicked. She's next. She's probably pushing Kody to fix things with Janelle, thinking that if he does, she'll be safe from being discarded anyway. I think we give Robyn way too much credit when it comes to her motivations. There are a lot of posts around here suggesting that either Robyn is a devious mastermind plotting to destroy the family from day one, or that she's just now realizing how awful Kody is and is panicking because she's the last wife standing. But honestly, Kody and Robyn are just dumb. Neither of them has a master plan. They're not secretly hoping the other wives will come back, or that Kody will magically fix his relationships with his kids. They're not thinking that far ahead. Kody and Robyn are negative, selfish, controlling, and manipulative people who have zero emotional regulation or empathy. Robyn knows that with the original 3 wives gone, the only way she and Kody can stay on the show is either by sharing more of their lovely marriage, or by encouraging Kody to reconcile with Janelle, Mary, and his kids. She wants to stay in the spotlight, crying outside her house for the cameras and collecting that paycheck. That's the whole point for her. Kody and Mary's argument over dividing the property could be summed up as a masterclass in hypocrisy. Kody's out here whining about how Mary doesn't want to share resources, but let's not forget that this is the same guy who convinced Mary to hand over her entire house sale profit so he could buy a mansion for Robyn. But sure, Kody, tell us more about who's contributing to the family. Meanwhile, Mary, in the same breath, insists that she does still contribute to the family, which, let's be real, is a major slap in the face to Kody's claims that he and Robyn have contributed more. It's hard to take him seriously when they've clearly taken far more than they've given. Then, as if on cue, Kody pulls out the Meri only has one child card, because apparently that somehow invalidates her right to an equal share of the property. Never mind the fact that he's been gaslighting her for years with that one big family narrative. The truth is, Meri was always pushed aside because she didn't churn out kids like an assembly line. I can't help but hope she's smart enough to hire a good lawyer at this point. Meri, for her part, just confirmed that she has been contributing financially. And no surprise, Robyn's sitting there, telling Meri to hold on. My husband pointed out that Robyn didn't finish her sentence when she talked about sitting on the porch with her sister wives, probably because they all paid for it, right? This is straight-up financial and emotional abuse, and it's sickening to watch. I can't even imagine how TLC is going to try and spin this mess in the new season. Kody and Robyn have completely torn this family apart. And let's talk about the resources thing one more time. Kody says Meri doesn't share, yet he's out there cutting off some of his own kids. This property is supposed to be owned by Kody and the wives, not by the kids. It's obvious Kody's just looking out for himself at this point. It's time for Meri, and maybe Janelle too, to lawyer up and stop letting him pull these stunts. And throwing the whole, Meri only has one child line in her face. It doesn't matter how many kids she has, she's still entitled to her fair share. At this point, it's clear that a lawsuit is the only way to settle this. The whole situation's been filmed, and there's a long history of conversations about the original intentions for the property. If you and your friends buy land together, one person doesn't just get to change the plan because they feel like it. Meri has been absolutely torn apart by everyone around her, family, viewers, you name it. It's honestly heartbreaking. I truly hope she finds love again, gets married, and has a peaceful and happy life from here on out. So here's the rundown. First, Janelle, her sister-in-law, has an emotional affair with Kody, her husband, and even tried marrying him on Meri's birthday. Nice, right? Then, Meri struggles with infertility while Janelle and Kody have kids left and right. Talk about feeling inadequate. Next, Christine joins the mix. Meri and Christine clash, and while I do think Meri had her flaws, Christine plays the victim a bit too much. Meri's complaints about the chaotic lives of Christine and Janelle, both with their many kids, while Meri is more OCD and wants things to be in order, are actually pretty valid. Then, Robyn enters and Meri, feeling totally isolated, tries to find an ally in her. Instead, Robyn manipulates her in a major way, and that's when the fans really start to turn on Meri. After that, Kody completely checks out on Meri, and their marriage begins to fall apart. Meri, trying to find happiness, meets someone online who she believes is her soulmate, only to find out it's a catfish. Meanwhile, Kody starts treating her, and even Leon, horribly. And that's when the bullying from viewers hits an all-time high. Then, Kody steps up the emotional abuse. The family starts distancing themselves, and some even throw out abuse allegations, which only fuels the hatred from viewers. There's no proof of any abuse, but it doesn't matter. Meri's being left out, alone, and without support. By the time we get to recent seasons, Meri's role seems to be just holding on to Kody, and of course, the viewers rip her apart for being weak and lacking self-esteem. And then we find out in a sneak peek that Kody and Robyn were actually manipulating her to play this role to protect Kody's image. It's all so twisted. Now, Kody's trying to give Meri the smallest portion of land on the property, even though she helped pay for the plot and their house. If that's not the ultimate slap in the face, I don't know what is. Meri's not perfect, but she deserves way better than what she's gotten from the wives, Kody, the producers, and the viewers. I really hope she finds peace and fights for what she's owed on that property. One thing I've wondered, is Mary's behavior a result of all the hurt she's endured? Hurt people, right? It's not an excuse, but I do understand where she's coming from. And if there really is abuse, I'm not denying it. I'm just not talking about that here. For example, in the early seasons in the book, they explain how Janelle came from a family where you didn't express your opinion because you didn't want to start a fight, while Mary came from a family where you spoke your mind and moved on. So when Mary thought the dishes should be cleaned after dinner, she said so. Janelle didn't say anything, so Mary assumed everything was fine until Janelle went and cried to Kody about how controlling Mary was. Later, Mary struggles to share her opinion on anything big, and of course, the family gets annoyed with her. It's like she was screwed if she did and screwed if she didn't. And then, imagine this scenario. Your ex-SIL asks to speak to your husband alone. You leave the room, and find out later she actually asked him to marry her. They plan the wedding on your birthday. Then she gets pregnant, while you've been trying for years without success. Your husband marries another woman who gets pregnant right away, and you finally get pregnant, but only end up with one child while the other wives are pumping out kids every year. Then, when your marriage is in the gutter, your husband meets his soulmate. And when you ask about having a baby with him, he basically says no because he's got other wives who can have kids for him. Who could possibly stay positive after 30 years of that kind of treatment? So yeah, Mary deserves way more sympathy and compassion than she's gotten. She's been through a lot, and it's not okay how she's been treated. Janelle's road to recouping her money could be as straightforward as selling Coyote Pass. At least, that's one option if we're going off what we know from the show. Janelle gets 20%, which conveniently also gives Robyn the cash she needs to pay back Janelle for the McMansion purchase, and for covering Robyn's debt with Janelle's retirement account. I'm not sure if they sold or rented out their place in Lehi, but here's where things get interesting. With the money from Coyote Pass, Kody should at least reimburse Janelle for the inheritance she used to buy the place in the first place. No interest, just the principal to get her back to square one. That would give Janelle some breathing room, putting her in a better position to explore other options. Maybe she could snag a small place near Maddie and the grandkids, or rent a low-maintenance apartment in Flagstaff. Heck, she could even look into investing in a garden center or some other business that's already established. That way, she could grow her financial future without being tied down 24/7. Freedom to travel, no building from scratch required. Now that's what I'd call smart investing. Where do we even begin with this mess? Let's talk about Janelle's ex-husband, shall we? Apparently, no one dares to mention the fact that Janelle was married to Mary's brother. May his soul rest in peace. And of course, there's this juicy tidbit that Janelle allegedly divorced him because he was abusive. But when asked for a source, Mykelti supposedly spilled the tea on her Patreon. Now, I'm sorry, but since when has Mykelti been considered a reliable source? Seriously, is this a joke? Let's break it down, because Mykelti doesn't even know what she's talking about half the time. Janelle and her ex were married and divorced before Mykelti was even born. So no, she wasn't exactly a first-hand witness to anything that went down. But that doesn't stop Mykelti from blurting out whatever she's heard, treating it like gospel truth, without bothering to confirm any of it. For example, Mykelti claimed that David Jessup, Janelle's ex-husband, was abusive, a terrible person, and a bad father. She said it with so much conviction, you'd think she was the one who lived through it. But when she was asked if she knew he was dying from leukemia, her whole face fell, and she admitted she had no clue. Not only that, but she wasn't even sure if his kids knew he was that sick. So where did Mykelti get this information? From Robyn, of course. The same Robyn who's been caught lying about Jessup multiple times. But hey, Mykelti, being the absolute genius she is, just took Robyn's word for it and smeared a dying man's reputation. She threw dirt on his name because her BFF Robyn said so, and Mykelti lapped it up like a thirsty puppy. Now, surprise, surprise, Mykelti's at it again, allegedly claiming that Janelle's ex was abusive, even though Janelle has never said such a thing. Janelle's only ever mentioned that she and her ex weren't a religious match, which led to their divorce. That's it. She's never once called him abusive, and frankly, she's been pretty determined to avoid discussing him altogether. So why does Mykelti feel the need to open her mouth about it now? If it were true, Janelle clearly doesn't want to broadcast her painful past for all to hear, and Mykelti should respect that instead of exploiting it for views and money. It's one thing for Robyn to talk about how miserable she was with Jessup, but Janelle? She's done everything she can to keep Mary's brother out of the conversation. They're not even remotely the same situation, and Mykelti is out here throwing her nose into business that isn't hers to air. Who does she think she is? It's beyond tacky to expose something that the actual victim hasn't chosen to talk about. We also don't even know if Mykelti actually said this on her Patreon, or if she's just being misrepresented. I've listened to Gwen's Patreon and seen how things get twisted, so I wouldn't be surprised if the facts are all out of whack. Bottom line, unless you've seen the source yourself, don't take any of this as gospel truth. People love to repeat things without verification, and before you know it, someone's heard something, and it's treated as fact. That's the problem with this whole Patreon tea situation. No one can check the source for themselves, so everything's up in the air. And let's be real, this whole thing isn't even discussed on the show, because it would make them all look like an absolute circus. Janelle married Mary's brother, and her mom married Kody's dad? Yeah, talking about that would definitely undermine their carefully crafted narrative that polygamist families are just like regular families. Nice try, though. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and much love to you all.